Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is Explanation of Battle Through the Heavens episode number 223 based on novel. So let's start. The human crowd within the square spread like flowing water. Immediately, a group of figures wearing the robes of the Yaro clan slowly walked over. Their gazes contained some surprise and disdain as they swept over Yaro Laro's body. There was a somewhat shader-looking old man with blade-like lips in the leader's position. This person was the person in charge of meting out punishments within the Yaro clan. Xiao Yang had met him outside the demonic flame realm back then. He was also an elder of the Yaro clan, whom Yaro Laro had a deep grudge against, Yaro Wangu. Yaro Chen? Kai, isn't he that useless person who was expelled from our Yaro clan? He is already a bunch of old bones, yet he doesn't know how to quietly wait for his end. He must have come to our Yaro clan to be humiliated. That's right. Haha, elder, given your status, what is there to talk about with this abandoned person? Those human figures clustered around Yaro Wangu understood that he really disliked the duo in front of him after hearing his condescending words. Many flattering and bootlicking voices appeared one after another. Yaro Wangu's position within the Yaro clan was extremely high. If one were to gain his recognition, one's position within the clan would soar. Hence, this Yaro Wangu had never lacked such people beside him. Yaro Wangu enjoyed when many people praised him. Hence, regardless of where he went within the clan, there was a large group of people following behind him, flattering him. Although these people might not even recognize the people they ridiculed at times, they were very good at recognizing Yaro Wangu's expression. As long as he showed an unfriendly expression, they would not show any mercy in criticizing the other party. After all, would anyone really dare to touch them within the Yaro clan? While these people were merciless with their words, the eyes they used to look at the duo in front of them also became harsher, as though acting like this would allow them to be recognized by Yaro Wangu. Those not from the Yaro clan present in the square quietly shook their heads. These ancient clans had sealed themselves away and usually viewed everything that happened within the Central Plains with disdain. However, those from the Central Plains were clearly aware of the reputation and status that Yaro Chen currently held within the Central Plains. The Sky Mansion Alliance's chief. The Sky Mansion Alliance was a powerful faction that could even force a strong faction like the Hall of Souls to withdraw from its position as overlord. It was also a faction that was without a doubt the current overlord of the Central Plains. Although the Yaro clan was powerful, those who were aware of the situation understood that even the Yaro clan did not possess the qualification to look down on the Sky Mansion Alliance. Moreover, no one would forget the most extraordinary aspect. Yaro Chen, who was already extremely old, was not his achievements nor was it the current Sky Mansion Alliance. Instead, it was his disciple. His disciple had become the champion of the Pill Towers Pill gathering a couple of years ago, making a name for himself in the Central Plains at that time. After establishing a name for himself, he had continued to rely on his own strength to merge with the Pill Tower, the Flower Sect, and the Burning Flame Valley to establish the current Sky Mansion Alliance with its powerful lineup. Its might was comparable to the overlord of the Central Plains, the Hall of Souls. During the many subsequent years of fighting, the alliance had become even stronger and had even become a powerful existence within the Central Plains. In the Fallen Mountain battle half a year ago, he had even fought the chief of the Hall of Souls alone and won. Since then, the position of overlord in the Central Plains had shifted. Just listening to the many achievements was enough to cause one's blood to boil. If a man born in this world was able to achieve these, he could be considered a man among men. The name of that disciple was Xiao Yang. The chiefs or grand elders from the various factions within the Central Plains in the square exchanged glances with each other, after which, they withdrew some distance with a complicated expression in their eyes. They did not open their mouths to help Yaro Wangu just because this was the home of the Yaro clan. This old fellow Yaro Wangu is really asking to suffer. Some people, who noticed the cold arc on Xiao Yang's face after his teacher was harshly mocked, involuntarily thought and gloated to themselves. Teacher, leave everything to me. All you need to do is place the names of your parents on the clan tablet when the time comes. The smile on Xiao Yang's face was a little dense as he turned his head and softly laughed. Yaro Laro did not reply. However, his slightly trembling beard revealed the waves within his heart. What arrogant words! Yaro Wangu, who still had a smile on his face because of the flattering voices around him, formed a chilly expression in his eyes. He coldly laughed. An abandoned person does not possess the right to leave his name on the clan tablet. Yaro Chen, you should stop dreaming. Elder is right. Allowing you to participate in the medicinal ceremony is already the greatest kindness of our clan. Yaro Chen, you should know your limits and not demand for more. Do you think the clan tablet is something that an abandoned person like you can leave his name on? Kai, Elder Wangu, why don't you head to the Elder Council and ask them to expel these two and prevent them from dirtying your eyes? Those people by the side joyously praised when they saw Yaro Wangu about to burst out in fury. Have all of you said enough? Xiao Yang continued to smile as he looked at the members of the Yaro clan, whose mouths were filled with evil words. He softly demanded an answer. You should be a little wiser to the situation. A skinny man standing near Yaro Wangu glanced at Xiao Yang. However, before he could finish speaking, he suddenly sensed a strong force coming down from above his head. After which, his body suddenly fell. His head was ruthlessly smashed into the ground. The ground split apart as fresh blood shot out of him. This sudden unexpected change caused everyone to feel startled. By the time they had recovered, they could only see a leg stepping on that fellow's head. They shifted their eyes and the smiling face of a young man appeared in their sights. What swift speed! The hearts of many in the square trembled slightly. They did not even manage to see Xiao Yang attack. That person had not even said all that he had wanted to say before his head was buried in the floor. Xiao Yang, you are really bold. This is my Yaro clan. Yaro Wangu was also startled by this change. His expressions had swiftly become dark and solemn as he cried out in a sharp voice. Bam! His cry had yet to cease when another person, who had spoken viciously earlier, rolled through the air. After which, a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out with some shattered teeth. Only after he landed on the ground did everyone see a heart-chilling blood-red handprint on his face. The crowd around Yaro Wangu finally revealed shocked expressions in their eyes upon seeing the miserable fate of those two. They hurried to lean closer to Yaro Wangu, but before they could shift a foot, many after-images suddenly flashed in front of them. A continuous stream of slapping sounds echoed away at the same time. Soon after, the bodies of everyone in that group except Yaro Wangu flew back. The fresh blood and teeth that covered the ground caused one to swallow one's saliva. In the blink of an eye, the ground was covered with fresh blood. Those individuals who had fearlessly humiliated Yaro Laro earlier were all hugging their faces and rolling around like dead dogs. Sharp screeches were emitted. Xiao Yang. Yaro Wangu's face turned gloomy. His eyes also became completely red. Xiao Yang's actions were not only teaching a lesson to these young fellows, it was also giving him a slap in front of a countless number of people. This was the first time that he had encountered such a humiliation in so many years. Good, what an arrogant little bastard. Do think that you are qualified to challenge my Yaro clan just because there is the so-called Sky Mansion Alliance behind you? You had yet to even appear when this elderly self dominated the continent. Yaro Wangu's furious low roar reverberated over the square. Yaro clan guards, capture this arrogant person. Yaro Wangu suddenly pointed at Xiao Yang and sternly cried out. Understood. Some human figures immediately appeared after Yaro Wangu's cry sounded. Dozens of figures in black metal armor and holding long spears surrounded Xiao Yang. A low cry sounded and they attacked together. Sharp do chi whistled toward the fatal spots around Xiao Yang's body. Bang! Spear shadows flashed, but before they could approach Xiao Yang, an extremely terrifying fire wave surged out of Xiao Yang's body. Wherever the wave spread, it shifted under the long spear covered in a powerful do chi. Those dozen-plus figures flew back after having suffered a serious blow. The black armor on their bodies turned into ashes, revealing many startled faces. What a powerful aura. Did this fellow really rely on his own strength to defeat Han Miesheng? Yaro Wangu's eyes suddenly shrank after he detected this frightening fire wave. He immediately felt some disbelief. When he had met Xiao Yang back then, Xiao Yang had only been a 2-star dosheng. How was it possible for Xiao Yang to improve so quickly within a short few years? This elderly self shall see just what right you have to act atrociously in my Yaro clan. Although Yaro Wangu felt shocked in his heart, he was also considered one of the top experts within the Yaro clan. He was extremely furious because of Xiao Yang's arrogant actions. He stepped forward. The powerful aura of a 4-star dosheng erupted without restraint. Those surrounding individuals were forced back a couple dozen meters. Even the chiefs and grand elders of some of factions displayed grave expressions. Although this Yaro Wangu possessed very little magnanimity, there was no need to dispute his strength. Xiao Yang glanced at Yaro Wangu, who had unleashed his strength to the limit. Not only did he not appear solemn, he also slowly shook his head. He lifted his foot and gradually walked toward the Yaro Wangu. While he stepped forward, an aura that was 10 times more frightening than Yaro Wangu's aura erupted in all directions. It caused the expressions of many to immediately change. Back then, I told you that your life is mine, 5-star dosheng. The frightening aura that suddenly swept across the square quickly resulted in shocked expressions surging into the eyes of many experts. There was vaguely an additional hint of fear and respect when they looked at the young figure. Such strength could be considered a peak existence even in an ancient clan like the Yaro clan. Xiao Yang from the Sky Mansion really lives up to his reputation. The individuals from the various factions exchanged glances with each other. They could see grave expressions and exclamations in each other's eyes. No wonder the Sky Mansion Alliance had developed a tighter bond during these years. With a core individual like Xiao Yang as their main support, this alliance would not be as weak as those other temporary alliances. Yaro Wangu's expression became extremely ugly as Xiao Yang's aura erupted. He did not expect that Xiao Yang to have not only caught up to him within these short years, he had even tossed him far behind. A 5-star Do Sheng, Yaro Wangu was no match for an opponent of this level. Yaro Wangu's expression was extremely gloomy. The aura that surrounded his body appeared just like a mountain as it pressed down on him, causing him to feel a great pressure. He did not doubt that if he fought with Xiao Yang, he would be defeated within 10 exchanges. The eruption of the aura belonging to a 5-star Do Sheng stirred many Yaro clan experts on this huge mountain. The rushing sound of wind continued to appear in the air above the square. They looked at the ground below, which was covered in fresh blood, and were initially startled. Their faces were quickly filled with fury. Regardless of what happened, these people were all members of the Yaro clan, yet they had been beaten into this state in front of their doorstep. It was clear that the Yaro clan was not given any face. Elder Wangu, what has happened? Many pairs of eyes shifted to Yaro Wangu while feeling furious. Elders, you are all just in time. This Xiao Yang is extremely arrogant. He actually dares to launch ruthless attacks on the members of our clan within our territory. Quickly capture him. Otherwise, our Yaro clan will really lose face in front of so many guests. Yaro Wangu rejoiced and hurriedly cried out upon seeing the figures in the sky. Xiao Yang? That Xiao Yang from the Xiao clan? The elders from the Yaro clan in the sky exclaimed a question upon hearing Yaro Wangu's voice. They were familiar with Xiao Yang's name. Their eyes glanced at Xiao Yang. The surprise in their eyes became more intense when they saw that the terrifying aura originated from him. Xiao Yang, the relationship between the Xiao clan and the Yaro clan could be considered good back then. Your actions today are a little overboard. A yellow-robed elder in the sky spoke with a somewhat gloomy expression. If you respect others, others will respect you. If you humiliate others, others will humiliate you. Xiao Yang faintly laughed. His expression did not alter because of the many Yaro clan's elders floating in the sky. His eyes were merely locked onto Yaro Wangu. The ice-cold smile formed on the corner of his mouth became even denser. Yaro Wangu, there are certain words you cannot randomly utter at times. Xiao Yang, what are you planning on doing? Yaro Wangu's expression became cold upon seeing this smile. He sternly cried out. His eyes were also extremely sharp. Although Xiao Yang was ruthless when he had attacked those from the clan earlier, he had ensured that they were left alive. Hence, his heart thought that Xiao Yang was a little afraid of the Yaro clan. Now that so many helpers had appeared, he had naturally become confident. Apologize to my teacher. Xiao Yang grinned and demanded an apology. Yaro Wangu narrowed his eyes as he let out a dense smile. His status was many times greater than Yaro Chen's status. How was it possible for him to apologize in front of so many people? Xiao Yang, Elder Wangu might share some blame in this matter, but you have already hurt so many people. You have likely vented your anger. Why don't each of you take a step back? An elder of the Yaro clan frowned. He was clearly aware of Yaro Wangu's character. Asking him to apologize was an extremely difficult request. Xiao Yang slowly shook his head. The members of the Yaro clan were all extremely proud individuals. Those from the Jiyu clan were considered well-bred compared to them. Xiao Yang did not like this kind of ridicule and provocation. Since he wished to eliminate such ridicule, the only solution was to frighten those fellows into keeping their mouths shut. One could only use the most brutal method when facing such wretched individuals. It was to beat them up until they kept their mouths shut. If you are unwilling, I shall have no choice but to act. Xiao Yang's soft voice caused the faces of Yaro Wangu and those elders in the sky to change. Before they could speak, Xiao Yang's body had turned into a ray of light that shot toward Yaro Wangu. Xiao Yang, stop this violence. Those many elders from the Yaro clan immediately cried out in union upon hearing his words. Before they could intervene, pink light suddenly shot out of Xiao Yang's body. Finally, it turned into a fire baby that floated in the sky. The fire baby widened its mouth. A terrifying pink flame spread. The annihilation force contained within it caused those elders to withdraw with shocked faces. There was no lack of extremely experienced individuals among these elders. Many exclamations quickly sounded. Purifying demonic lotus flame? While those elders in the sky were being blocked by Little Yi, Xiao Yang's figure appeared in front of Yaro Wangu in a ghost-like fashion. After which, his finger shot toward Yaro Wangu. Xiao Yang, stop. The cry of an elderly figure suddenly appeared around the square while Xiao Yang was attacking Yaro Wangu. Everyone was surprised to see a large cluster of fire clouds erupt from the top of the mountain. An old red-haired man was partially visible as he rushed over. It's Elder Wanhua. Waves of exclamations immediately reverberated around the square when everyone saw the red-haired old man. It was unexpected that even this person had been disturbed. A 6-star Dosheng? Xiao Yang frowned when the red-haired old man appeared. He glanced at Yaro Wangu in front, whose face had revealed a wild joy and a dark ruthlessness. Xiao Yang's eyes once again turned icy-cold. His attack did not weaken. A sharp wind rose from his finger as it ruthlessly pressed toward Yaro Wangu. Little bastard, do you think that this elderly self is afraid of you? Yaro Wangu became furious upon seeing that Xiao Yang continued to come toward him. Do Qi whistled out of his body. His somewhat ancient and yellowish hand was accompanied by a strange wind as it furiously slammed toward Xiao Yang, withered glory palm. Xiao Yang lifted his eyes as Yaro Wangu resisted. Both of his fingers were curled slightly. He then pressed them forward with lightning-like speed and heavily struck onto the old man's palm. Bang! The sharp wind on Yaro Wangu's palm was swiftly eroded upon contact as a heart-piercing pain was transmitted from his palm. A bloody hole was formed while a frightening wind flipped his body. His feet staggered back 1,000 feet. 2 deep gullies appeared in the square. A mouthful of fresh blood was also miserably spat from Yaro Wangu's mouth as his body stabilized. This elderly self will kill you. Yaro Wangu's eyes turned blood red after he had been defeated in a single strike. A furious roar sounded. His feet immediately stomped on the ground as his body appeared in front of Xiao Yang with lightning-like speed. A large patch of white powder was scattered before it wrapped around Xiao Yang's body. A sizzling sound was emitted after the white powder that had landed on the ground. The tough stone floor was immediately turned into nothing. Clearly, this powder was an extremely potent poison. Bang! Before a ruthless expression could appear on Yaro Wangu's face after he scattered the poisonous powder, a hand covered in a pink flame extended out of the poisonous powder. It reached toward Yaro Wangu's neck with lightning-like speed. Xiao Yang, the red-haired old man, who was hurrying over, had a fury appear in his loud cry upon seeing this scene. He had not expected Xiao Yang to completely ignore even his words, so he clenched his hand. A fiery red Do Qi rapidly gathered there. In the blink of an eye, this Do Qi turned into a 1,000-foot large fire spear. He shook his arm and the huge spear ruthlessly shot toward Xiao Yang at an extremely shocking speed. Bang! Xiao Yang's foot stomped violently on the ground. A magma pillar a couple of 1,000 feet wide shot up and actually shattered the huge spear. However, the fiery-haired old man had managed to rush over while Xiao Yang was attacking. His body moved and appeared a short distance in front of Xiao Yang. The shock and fury within his eyes increased after seeing that Xiao Yang was reaching for Yaro Wangu's throat with one hand. Without uttering a single word, his palm slammed towards Xiao Yang. His speed had caused the palm to not appear real as it rushed forward. A terrifying spatial fluctuation spread out as though it possessed a real form. Xiao Yang's expression was ice-cold as he stared at Yaro Wangu, who wanted to withdraw in panic. He glanced at the red-haired old man out of the corner of his eyes and let out a cold snort. With a flick of his finger, a black figure appeared beside him. After which, the black figure swung both of its hands and collided with the fiery-haired old man in front of everyone's eyes. Clang! The collision of their palms caused an invisible wind to erupt. The hard square was immediately covered with densely packed cracks. The air trembled and the two figures staggered 2 steps back. While the intense collision was occurring behind him, Xiao Yang's eyes were growing colder as he continued to stare at Yaro Wangu. His hand was extended a little further and wrapped around Yaro Wangu's throat. A huge force surged, causing Yaro Wangu's expression to become pale and terrified. Everyone felt their hearts chill as they watched Yaro Wangu struggle like a dead fish within Xiao Yang's hand. This fellow was really far too ferocious. Even the combined might of so many Yaro clan elders was unable to slow him. Xiao Yang, this is the Yaro clan. The red-haired old man furiously glared at Xiao Yang before he sharply cried out after seeing Yaro Wangu struggling with all his strength in Xiao Yang's hand. This elder, I have no intention of causing trouble during my stay in the Yaro clan. However, if anyone bullies my teacher and me, I will not simply accept it lying down either. Xiao Yang's eyes were ice-cold as he stared at the shocked and horrified Yaro Wangu in front of many people. His voice was low and deep as he spoke. Little Yi in the sky swiftly descended as Xiao Yang's voice sounded. After which, he stood on Xiao Yang's shoulder. The purifying demonic lotus flame surrounded him while a horrifying heat spread. It caused the faces of many to feel slightly startled. It was the first time they had ever seen such a mysterious heavenly flame. As Little Yi came rushing down, the somewhat strong black figure beside Xiao Yang shifted a step and coincidentally blocked the red-haired old man. The red-haired old man was extremely strong and was a genuine 6-star Dosheng. Only the Northern King could block him. Even the corner of Elder Wanhua's eyes twitched after seeing the lineup beside Xiao Yang, especially when his eyes scanned the cold and indifferent black body in front. A fear rose within his eyes. During the exchange earlier, he had discovered that even he was unable to obtain the upper hand. This Xiao Yang really lives up to his name. He already possesses such strength despite being so young. Moreover, there are so many powerful existences beside him. Such an outstanding talent has actually appeared in the declined Xiao clan. How envious! The fury on Elder Wanhua's face was slowly withdrawn. He studied Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's achievements did not lose to even old demons like them. Among the younger generation across the entire continent, it was likely that no one could beat him. Xiao Yang, today is an important day for my Yaro clan. If Yaro Wangu has offended you in any way, can you let him off on account of our Yaro clan? The surrounding individuals were slightly startled after hearing Elder Wanhua's words suddenly become much gentler. They looked at Xiao Yang in a strange fashion. They had not expected an expert from the 6th star of the Dosheng class to not be able to subdue Xiao Yang. Elder Wanhua. The elders from the Yaro clan revealed a different expression upon hearing Elder Wanhua's words, causing them to involuntarily cry out. From the way they saw it, if Elder Wanhua attacked, he would definitely be able to capture Xiao Yang. At that time, it would show these guests that no one was allowed to offend the prestige of the Yaro clan. However, shut your mouths. I know what I am doing. Elder Wanhua furiously chided them. His expression sank when these people interrupted him. Other people might not be able to tell, but he clearly understood that even if he acted personally today, it would be difficult for him to gain an advantage against that cold and indifferent figure besides Xiao Yang. Moreover, there was still Little Yi holding the purifying lotus demon flame from the side with malice. Although those elders felt a great unwillingness in their hearts, all of them merely shut their mouths after hearing Elder Wanhua's stern cry. With the exception of the clan head, no one could surpass his position within the clan. Xiao Yang was also surprised that this elder, who clearly possessed quite a high position within the Yaro clan, would actually utter such words. His gloomy expression quickly became a little warmer. Xiao Yang, you didn't come to the Yaro clan just to find trouble with Yaro Wangu, did you? Elder Wanhua once again asked a question after seeing Xiao Yang's expression grow warmer. Teacher. Xiao Yang slightly nodded. His eyes shifted to Yaro Laro. Clearly, he was only intent on listening to his teacher's opinion. Everyone shifted their eyes upon seeing Xiao Yang's gaze. Finally, their eyes paused on Yaro Laro, who had yet to speak since the beginning. Since Elder Wanhua has personally stepped forward, we would really be going overboard if we continue to insist. Yaro Laro was quite calm in front of the many gazes. He faintly smiled as B replied. He was aware that it was naturally impossible to truly kill Yaro Wangu right now. After all, the Yaro clan would definitely not sit back and do nothing then. Since Elder Wanhua had given him a path to step back, he was willing to take it. In any case, he had already achieved the deterrence he wanted. Elder Wanhua sighed in relief after hearing Yaro Laro's words. His eyes were a little complicated as he glanced at Yaro Laro. He had never expected this abandoned person the clan could do without would actually end up with such achievements. Not only did he step into Dosheng realm, he had even taught a disciple who had surpassed him. This disciple of his made the geniuses of the Yaro clan pale in comparison. If I paid a little more attention back then, the current situation would perhaps have been completely different. Elder Wanhua sighed within his heart. If the clan had paid a little more attention to Yaro Laro, it was likely that he would have developed some lingering feelings for the Yaro clan. In that case, the relationship between the Sky Mansion and the Yaro clan would have been quite good. How regretful. Xiao Yang nodded after Yaro Laro opened his mouth. His eyes glanced indifferently at Yaro Wangu in his hand. After which, he randomly tossed him toward the group of elders. The elders hurriedly received him in a miserable fashion. Elder Wanhua. Both my teacher and I represent the entire Sky Mansion Alliance on our trip to the Yaro clan. My teacher is the chief of the alliance. His status is not like the others. Hence, I hope that those elders, who think that their status is a little superior, control their attitudes. My Sky Mansion Alliance might have only been established for a short period of time, but we will not allow anyone to randomly criticize us. Xiao Yang turned his head, looked at Elder Wanhua, and spoke in a deep voice. Xiao Yang did not feel the least bit of fear and respect in front of this Yaro clan elder. In terms of strength, the other party might not be able to defeat the Northern King. Moreover, if they were to really engage in a life and death battle, Xiao Yang was confident he could take the other party's life. Hence, Xiao Yang was not overly courteous when he uttered these words. Everything was measured in terms of strength. Elder Wanhua was clearly aware of the strength of both parties. Hence, he did not appear to be offended by Xiao Yang's words. In terms of overall strength, the Sky Mansion Alliance was not inferior to their Yaro clan. If one were to discuss the top-level strength, the alliance, which possessed the ancestor of the Pill Tower, Xiao Chen, Xiao Yang, and the Northern King, was comparable to the Yaro clan. Currently, from just the perspective of the strength between both parties, neither was stronger than the other. This was something many elders were clearly aware of, but they were unwilling to admit this in their hearts. Elder Wangu is rather hot-headed. There are times when he involuntarily says offensive words. This elderly self will reprimand him after this. Everyone who has come today are guests. Regardless of what faction the both of you have come in behalf of, our Yaro clan will treat you according to the way guests should be treated. Elder Wanhua was clearly many times better than Yaro Wangu in terms of magnanimity. His polite words caused many to slightly nod. Such a way of speaking clearly suited the prestige of a large clan. Yaro Wangu revealed a flush-red expression, but he did not dare to say anything. If Elder Wanhua had not hurried over in time earlier, he would have embarrassed himself in public if he could even keep his life. Elder Wanhua ignored him. He waved his sleeve and rays of light shot out. The lights accurately shot into the mouths of those individuals who had spoken wickedly and had been beaten by Xiao Yang. After which, he commanded in a faint voice, for being disrespectful to guests, all of you are exiled from the Medicine Mountain for 10 years. Iron guards, bring them away. A couple of figures rushed over after his words had just sounded. After which, these figures brutally grabbed those pale-looking individuals and tossed them outside like dead dogs. Ha, Alliance Chief Yaro, young friend Xiao Yang, may I know if the both of you are satisfied with this punishment? Elder Wanhua glanced between Xiao Yang and Yaro Laro as he laughed in a faint voice. Xiao Yang admires Elder Wanhua's impartiality. Xiao Yang also revealed a smile on his face. He cupped his hands politely to Elder Wanhua. How could he not understand Elder Wanhua's intentions? These small fries were for him to randomly vent his anger, but Xiao Yang would not be able to pursue the offenses of Yaro Wangu. After all, the other party had already punished the members of their Yaro clan in public. It is already quite late. If everyone plans on observing the medicinal ceremony, please follow me to the top of the mountain. Ha, I have heard that young friend Xiao Yang was once the pill-gathering champion. It is likely that you are also extremely accomplished in terms of pill refinement. However, the Yaro clan's medicinal ceremony operates on an even higher level than the pill gathering. Each medicinal ceremony is the peak gathering of alchemists on the Dochi continent. If young friend Xiao Yang can emerge victorious in the medicinal ceremony, the title of the top alchemist on the continent will belong to a different surname. Elder Wanhua fondled his beard. His tone contained a faint pride. In terms of Dochi strength, he would have to view Xiao Yang as an equal. However, when it came to alchemist skills, his pride was accidentally expressed. After all, the Yaro clan specialized in medicinal refinement. Xiao Yang merely smiled when he heard the pride within Elder Wanhua's voice. He randomly said, I was taught my alchemist skills by my teacher, but I am curious to learn about the top alchemist gurus within the Dochi continent. It would really be my honor to be able to spar with them. Ha, you will definitely have a chance. Anyone who possesses the ability to join the medicinal ceremony can do so. Elder Wanhua laughed. After which, he ceased speaking. His body moved and rushed into the sky. After which, he flew toward the mountain. The many elders from the Yaro clan followed close behind. Xiao Yang curled his lips after seeing the backs of those Yaro clan elders. Was the Yaro clan planning to gain back some face through medicinal refinement? That did not appear simple. Teacher, let's go. Let us go and take a look at the so-called top alchemist gurus from the Dochi continent. Xiao Yang laughed. He turned his head to look at Yaro Laro, who smiled and nodded. After which, the both of them rose into the air at the same time and followed those Yaro clan elders from afar as they all swiftly hurried to the mountain. The peak of the medicinal mountain was covered by a cloud. A strange medicinal fragrance spread, causing one's heart to feel untroubled, as though one was in a divine place. There were clusters of medicinal ingredients gathering like a sea on top of the medicine mountain. There was an incomparably huge stadium floating in the air above the medicinal ingredient sea. There were 4 huge medicinal cauldrons at the 4 corners of the square. A pill fragrance slowly rose from them as a smoke charged into the cloud. There were many human figures standing on this floating stage. Many lively conversations were being emitted. Their eyes were all looking to the north. There were many stone chairs neatly arranged there. Pretty female servants shuffled around the 2 sides of the stone chairs like butterflies. Those agile hands filled all the jade cups on the stone tables. Xiao Yang and Yaro Laro rushed to the top of the mountain. Their eyes swept around. They were about to find a random spot to take a seat when Elder Wanhua stood from a stone chair at the side. He loudly laughed. Alliance Chief Yaro Chen, young friend Xiao Yang, this way please. Yaro Chen? Xiao Yang? The Sky Mansion Alliance, huh? It is unexpected that even those two have come. According to the rumors, it seems that this Yaro Sheng was once someone from the Yaro clan, but he was subsequently expelled from the clan for some reason. Something like this actually happened? If this is really the case, does that not mean that the current Yaro clan deeply regrets their decision? The laughter of Elder Wanhua immediately attracted many pairs of eyes to the location of Xiao Yang and Yaro Lao. The current Sky Mansion Alliance was extremely well known and was appearing like the new overlord of the Central Plains. Most people present had heard about the chief of the alliance in name and its spiritual leader. Many private whispers began to pop up. Xiao Yang completely ignored these various gazes. All he did was simply look at Yaro Laro. Ha, it is just as you have said. We represent the Sky Mansion Alliance. If they do not give us a good position, they would be looking down on our alliance. Yaro Laro laughed. Xiao Yang smiled upon hearing his explanation. After which, their bodies flashed and appeared a short distance from Elder Wanhua. They found a position and sat down. The sharp female servants by the side hurried forward and served them. Elder Wangu smiled at the both of them after they had sat down. Those other elders beside him felt a little unnatural. These elders were all senior representatives of the Yaro clan. If Yaro Chen had continued to remain in the Yaro clan, he would have had to greet them upon sight, yet the current reality allowed them to understand that they would likely be the ones who would have to greet him. The chief of the Sky Mansion Alliance was comparable to the head of the Yaro clan. There is nothing interesting to see during the start of the medicinal ceremony. It is merely some young fellows within the Yaro clan displaying their skill. The main event of the medicinal ceremony is after that. Yaro looked down at the incomparably large stone stage below and softly laughed. He immediately looked at Xiao Yang and said, "If you can emerge victorious in that final competition, the position of the top alchemist on the continent will belong to you. I don't really care about my position, but the Yaro clan is really extremely arrogant. I am only planning to use the alchemist skills that teacher has taught me, show them that their reckless and foolish actions back then have caused the Yaro clan to lose a true genius." Xiao Yang smiled as he responded. His alchemist skills had already surpassed Yaro, but the reason he was able to attain such an achievement was because of the teachings of Yaro. If he were able to emerge victorious in such a place, no one within the Yaro clan would dare to stop Yaro from leaving his parents' name on the clan's tablet. "You little fellow," Yaro smiled as he chided him. However, his face was filled with a pleased expression. The heavens had really blessed him with such a disciple. Even though your alchemist skills have already reached the pinnacle, it will not be an easy matter to emerge victorious in this medicinal ceremony. Yaro's expression became grave as he said, "Those who can participate in the final competition between alchemists are basically the top individuals of this world. It would be impossible to even find alchemists of this within the Pill Tower." Xiao Yang gently nodded. He naturally did not think that those who could participate in the alchemist competition were mediocre individuals, but the stronger his opponent, the more interested he was in competing. Ever since that enjoyable match with others during the pill gathering back then, Xiao Yang had not been able to compete with others in terms of medicinal pill refinement in such an environment for a very long time. Moreover, the opponents this time around would be many times stronger than the opponents of the pill gathering. The human traffic around the stone stage expanded while Xiao Yang and Yaro were chatting. Subsequently, various noises shot toward the sky. The buzzing voices caused even the clouds in the sky to scatter a little. The voices spread before a gong sound rang through the sky. Many members of the Yaro clan swiftly stood up. Their respectful voices spread in a mighty manner. "Welcome, clan head." The clouds in the sky churned as the vast and mighty greeting reverberated before they separated. A white-robed, white-haired old man slowly stepped forward. His hand landed against the air and emitted waves of mysterious fluctuations. Space seemed to have solidified at this moment. "Clan head of the Yaro clan?" A grave expression flashed through Xiao Yang's eyes as he stared at this white-haired old man, who was filled with a warm friendliness. He could sense an unusually powerful aura radiating from the old man's body. This aura was many times stronger than Elder Wanhua's aura. "This is the clan head of the Yaro clan, Yaro Dan. He is currently a 7-star Do Sheng." Yaro's eyes were a little complicated as he looked at the white-haired old man. Regardless of what happened, the blood of the Yaro clan still flowed within his body. His heart felt some emotion when seeing the clan head of the Yaro clan. 7-star Do Sheng. Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes. This should be the strongest person within the Yaro clan. He was indeed a little stronger than the strongest in the Sky Mansion. The foundation of an ancient clan was indeed something to be envious of. "Ha ha, those who have come are guests." The clan head of the Yaro clan, Yaro Dan, revealed a warm smile on his face as he stood in the sky. He cupped his hands to the densely packed crowd. Then, his eyes suddenly leaped over everyone and paused on Yaro. Those flickering eyes contained a complicated emotion. Xiao Yang, who was seated beside Yaro, also sensed Yaro Dan's gaze. His expression did not change, but a black light flashed beside him. The Northern King once again appeared. Its indifferent eyes stared at Yaro Dan. It was just like a wild beast, which would suddenly become violent and start killing if prompted. Yaro slowly lifted his head. His eyes looked directly at Yaro Dan as he faintly smiled. He cupped his hands together and greeted, "Greetings to clan head Yaro Dan. Yaro Chen, we have all been mistaken." Yaro Dan's eyes focused on Yaro before immediately shifting to Xiao Yang. His eyes paused on the Northern King beside Xiao Yang. He let out a soft sigh for an unknown reason. He took a step forward and appeared beside the main seat as many Yaro clan elders respectfully welcomed him. "Ha ha, old man Yaro Dan, are you finally willing to exit your retreat?" Yaro Dan was just about to sit when another voice that was ancient and experienced slowly propagated through the sky. There was also an extremely dense medicinal fragrance contained within this voice. After which, everyone saw a green light flicker in the distant horizon. Within a couple of breaths, a pale green medicinal cauldron quickly cut through the air and arrived. There was an old man in ordinary linen robes on the medicinal cauldron. A walking stick made from medicinal ingredients was held in his hand. Many jade bottles hung on this walking stick, emitting clear clanging sounds as they shook. Old man Shenong, it is unexpected that even such an elder has appeared. Surprise flashed within Yaro Laro's eyes when he saw this person. Xiao Yang by the side was startled before he seemed to have recalled something. The grave expression in his eyes soared. Although the name of this old man Shenong was not very famous, he was an extremely elderly expert within the alchemist world. Even Yaro Laro could only be considered a junior when compared to him. It was unexpected that this person, who had been missing for many years, would actually appear in this place. It is indeed worthy of the medicinal ceremony. Xiao Yang gently licked his lips. His heart suddenly became boiling hot. Being able to compete with such a person in terms of alchemy skills was really something that would make one's heart boil. Ha ha, old fellow, you are actually still alive, Yarodan softly laughed, but his expression was not the least bit surprised. Old man Shenong stood up from the medicinal cauldron. He waved his hand and stored the cauldron away. His old and experienced eyes swept around him before pausing on Xiao Yang. He let out a soft exclamation before laughing. I have not come out for many years. It is unexpected a new face has appeared within the central plains. A spiritual strength that has reached the perfect heavenly state despite being so young. How surprising. Greetings to Elder Shenong. Xiao Yang smiled. He calmly cupped his hands together and laughed in front of the many pairs of eyes present. Old man Shenlong smiled as he nodded. He was just about to take his seat when he suddenly frowned and turned around. He looked behind him. A black cloud had suddenly surged over at a shocking speed. Within the blink of an eye, it had turned into a black-clothed middle-aged man. Following the appearance of this person, the entire plaza immediately began to emit a low buzzing sound like the wail of a soul. Hun Huzi of the Hun clan. I have come uninvited. Hopefully, clan head Yaro Dan does not hold it against me. The black-clothed man faintly smiled. His steady voice spread throughout the square. Hun Huzi. Yaro Laro, who was beside Xiao Yang, shook upon hearing this person's name. A cold glint surged into his eyes. This video will end here.